This is, I'm sorry. I'm losing it already because I had to put my hat on real quick right before I got this interview. Welcome to tonight's show. I have a special guest tonight. We're doing this in person for the first time. And if you watch, let's see, which camera am I looking at? That one. If you watch the show, you know that I don't do these interviews often during my week, but during the weekend, I've been trying to do these after hours. And tonight, I actually have a pretty special guest. And she's somebody that, honestly, I've been trying to get folks that actually have something in the community. This person does have somewhat of a presence. So her name is Amy Banks. She does music. And don't know what she's going to say, quite frankly, because she's about ready to fall asleep. Don't lie. Let me pull back. Hold on. Let me just get my camera on her. There you are. You're on.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Amy.
How are you?
So introduce yourself. Tell me a little about yourself. I know you do music. By the way, before you say anything, the reason I wanted to have you on is because I think I told you this on the phone, but to me, it's pretty cool that you make a living doing music. I play music. I'm not good, but I was very interested in kind of that as somebody that does something I'm not good at, which I'm usually good at pretty much everything, as everyone knows that follows me. So I just wanted to have you on and have you talk about what you do and kind of introduce yourself.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Thank you for having
Don't be
me.
weird. Don't fucking be weird.
I'm not being
You
weird.
can fucking be normal. Don't get
I'm not
stupid in front of the
being
camera.
weird.
Go ahead.
Why would I be weird? Well, you're like, okay, tell me about yourself. Okay.
No, listen, people don't know you. They don't follow you on social media like I do.
All right. So, my name is Amy, and I've been here in Lancaster for.
This isn't a dating site, and so
I've been in Lancaster for like, I don't know, 22 years. And I came here to work at American Music Theater. That was fun. But yeah, what you were
what did you
talking
do at
about-
American Music Theater?
Well, I'm a singer. Okay, so I'm a singer.
So you don't play any instruments?
Don't.
Okay. See,
just
I play guitar, so I have one up on you already.
Yeah, you do. In fact, you should bring that guitar out right now,
joking.
and we should do some numbers. Yeah. So I came here to do that, and after I was here for a while, then I started doing jazz at different locations.
How did you get into music? Like, were you always
It was a default thing.
like? Do you come from a family of musicians or something, like the Partridges, or? I mean,
actually, Shirley Jones was my mother.
no, I'm being serious. Like, so I come from a big family, and there's a lot. Everyone in my family sings it, but me, pretty much. So we were like the Partridges. Like, we have about seven singers in our family.
Yeah. Did you went on the road?
No, not me. No, we didn't travel. We just fucking sang in a Mennonite bus and drove around. And no, seriously, was your mom a singer and your dad?
Both of my parents were actually music majors. They met in college.
Nice.
But neither of them, well, they were both musicians. My mom played the flute and piano, and she sings. She still sings. My dad plays the ukulele. He played the bass. He was like in a USO.
Did you grow up in Lancaster too?
No.
Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Minnesota.
I knew there was something when you were talking tonight earlier when we were talking on the phone. I was like, that accent, there's some accent. I thought it was Midwestern. I'm like, I thought you were from Lancaster.
No. I've been here for about 22 years.
All right. But you still have it.
Now that you talk about Minnesota.
I still hear the accent.
Now that you talk about Minnesota, I'm going to bring.
Now you're going to say Minnesota.
My Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I'm
Do you say pop too? You say,
yeah.
Oh God.
Pop.
I got to end this interview.
Pop was easy to get rid of. It was easy to start talking about soda. But I have a story. I have actually a
this is your show tonight. Usually it's about me.
Okay,
it's about
you.
So
back in the 80s, I moved to Atlanta.
Right.
From Minnesota.
I did read that in your bio, by the way. I read her bio just for you guys that don't think I did research and shit. She was actually impressed with the research that I did on her. Okay.
That was pretty impressive.
All right.
So I moved to Atlanta. I was singing at the time, and I was doing this big peach drop thing every year.
What's a peach drop thing? Like you say it like I'm supposed to know what a peach drop thing is.
The peach drop thing, like the apple drop thing, and
Oh,
they drop-
Georgia does it because Georgia peaches.
Exactly. So it's a peach drop.
All right.
And what do they drop around here? Like a red rose or something?
Yeah, they drop the
Shit like
rose.
that? All right. So I was doing some variety show thing live for music or whatever. And at the time, Vanessa Williams was pretty popular. I was singing a Vanessa Williams song.
Vanessa Williams probably was your idol, right?
Pretty much. Like I even had
Biracial woman. I know. I was biracial. I looked up to
you
the
were bi-
Cosby shows. You know, I was biracial. I lost it. I lost it. I swear I lost it.
Uniracial.
No.
Yeah, no. I had the cornflakes box with Vanessa on it.
Oh, you were
Yeah.
mad when they kicked her out of the pageant, weren't you?
I don't know if I was mad that she got done dirty, but
She got done dirty. You heard it from here, folks. Amy Banks.
Vanessa Williams.
If
you're
you
out
ever
there
watch
listening to
this, you know I know you're not going to watch
I
this,
think
but if you
got
do,
done dirty,
That's what
girl,
she
you
said.
got done dirty.
all right, nice. So you were in Georgia. You were watching you were
So
doing a
I was
peach
in
drop.
Georgia, and I was singing that song, this song, and it goes like this. Okay. All right. So I was listening to a recording of it,
Right.
and this is what I heard. Sometimes the snow comes down in June. Like snow.
Well, you can't put your accent in the song. You're not allowed to do that, right?
Oh my god, I didn't know I had an accent.
So this was you. I thought you heard somebody. You did
Sometimes the
this.
Snow comes down in June.
You just tried to
What?
show off now. You
Snow. I heard that, and I just.
You mean
about
you
shit
said
my
it and you heard your
pants.
voice and you didn't
I
realize?
recorded it. It was recorded. So when I went back to listen to it, I was like, "Oh my god, they're right. I have an accent."
But I always wondered, like when you hear like British singers singing or whatever, you don't hear their accent when they sing.
Sometimes you do.
Sometimes.
Depends on who it is.
But you really had to
Yeah.
work for snow. Like you had to work to get that in there. Like
No,
snow.
No, I didn't have to work at all. That's my
Snow.
point. That's my point. I didn't know I had an accent. So anyway, yeah, I'm from
Keep
Minnesota.
talking. I'm just looking at my notes.
Yeah,
I
it's
took
okay.
notes.
It's okay. I'm originally from Minnesota. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So I came here, but I was doing the jazz. But yeah, you were talking about like making a living, and that's the kind of fun thing about music, especially when I'm talking to maybe younger people who drank that fake beer. Young people who want to get into music, but I mean, things have changed a lot.
It's changed a lot. I mean, one thing I think, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I think one thing that's interesting, the distribution now, though, don't you feel like you have more opportunity, but also less at the same time, or no?
I think that yes, but no, it's more opportunity, period. But it does, we're inundated with material. Nobody's going to be able to listen to everything
Listen,
they would love.
It's hard for me to pierce through my little bubble to get anybody to watch, let alone I say this on my show. I have 49 followers on YouTube, and I'm not a musician, and I divide the room with what I do on my show. So I feel like as a musician, you have all these distribution models, but how do you like get someone to notice you? Like you got to do something to get the spotlight somehow, right?
Well,
I mean, if you're depending on that career, like you're not like you're doing music, but you're not necessarily touring the world, right?
No, not
Not
really
anymore.
at this point in my life.
But you have done that.
No. But no, here's what I'd like to finish saying about was
Sorry about that.
it is different. Like
I'm new at this interview thing.
Like doing music today is different than it was when I was growing up. You had to get the attention of somebody. I mean, we would send out cassette tapes to radio stations and that kind of thing. Not me personally, because I didn't really write.
You had to
much.
set out mixtapes and shit like that.
No,
right?
not mixtapes. Cassette tapes.
I mean,
of your stuff.
Oh, you had to give it to like DJs and stuff like that, or what?
Yeah,
Like
that's
radio
what people were doing, giving it to DJs, trying to get airplay, or trying to get noticed by some A&R person to get picked up by a label. And the labels dictated what you liked. Really, the labels decided what we were going to listen to, and now that's not the case. Kids are listening to a lot more things, a lot broader things that they had no access to before.
They don't just stay in one genre, probably either.
No, they listen to whatever they want to listen to. And really, like if you got a decent microphone and you go on you put your stuff out there, if somebody likes you and likes what you do, you
have a
can
chance.
create your own. You You can create your own path.
Well,
You can monetize your own money. You can market yourself, and maybe some big record label will pick you up. Certainly, a machine is better at promoting tours and publicizing and everything than an independent person is. But your opportunity to be seen is far greater.
I feel like a lot of folks, like when I kind of discovered a lot of the art people locally, I started noticing that a lot of folks that were influencers then decided to like release albums, for instance. But so what I would say is it seems like you don't even need a record label if you get enough followers, do you?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. I don't think
You know what I
can
mean? They
just
went
say-
for they were popular and then went to music. So I guess it's harder to get to music to be popular. But once you have followers, you can like kind of open doors to your own. Do you need a label then?
Well, I don't think anybody needs a label necessarily, but again, it's the machine
Right.
that the label provides.
Right.
So it's
The
promotions,
megaphone.
the interviews, the publicist, the tour machine. If you don't, you're probably not going to have easy access to that kind of thing. I'm sure you can put it together.
But like if you had 1 million followers, you have kind of a machine, right? No?
No, I'm talking about the actual
Like the promoting the events and things like that.
actual machine that makes it happen.
How do artists make money now? Like I'm being serious. I don't know how they
I mean, I don't know. I'm not the one to know that. Because I'm not an artist. I've always sang other people's stuff.
but I mean you make a living doing music though.
And that was kind of my point was at least when I was coming up, that, there were plenty of people who are not famous.
Yes.
And they're not
This is
winning
my point.
Grammys.
Yes.
So they're workers, they're craftspeople like me. They're playing in cover bands that do weddings and finding ways to profit
I love it.
on that. They're a lot of people are doing music on the side, but a lot of the musicians that work for us, they're just doing multiple projects. So they're working, doing gigs a lot.
This is what I was amazed at. And this is and so I don't get off on a tangent. I was actually this is the reason why I was very interested in what you do, because you're making a living. When I say making a living, like people always think that you have to get a label or get signed to even work in the business. And like my friend Mitch was actually one of the first people I knew personally besides you, who like he's in lots of bands making a living just doing music and he's doing what he likes. And I never thought, like I always thought, okay, because I'm an idiot, I don't know anything. You either get signed or you don't do music. It was very black and white. So I'm naively thinking, like a lot of people that don't know, just like with when I had the comedian on here, people don't know, like you can get into it locally. You don't have to have a big stage to get into it. I feel like you can be a musician and be successful and you don't necessarily have to be Taylor Swift. But we have Taylor Swift here, by the way. She is Vanessa Williams' clone. All right, no more compliments.
Certainly on those levels.
Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, though? I think that's
can
why.
Make a living. It's not glamorous, but you can certainly make a living. And the downside of that is that if you can't sing or play, you can't make any money. So if you get sick or you're out fucking around and you break your hand,
we're allowed to say the F-bomb. She asked me if she could say the F-bomb on this show. So I figure just letting people know it's acceptable. No, that's no.
Then you're screwed. But the other thing is, we cobble lives together. So people who are performing, a lot of them are teaching.
Right.
And I mentioned to you that I was an actor for years. So the stage thing is kind of, if you're like auditioning in New York because you're trying to get on Broadway or whatever, then if you're a singer, that's its own type of music, musical theater. But then there's that acting thing, and some people are not straight actors, or they're just straight actors, or some people are actors and singers. And of course, if you're a dancer on top of that, then that's much better. But there's that thing, and then the film thing is different. So film and television, and then there's the other thing, which is like modeling and commercials and shit. And I did that for years. I did some spokesperson things, modeling. And modeling is so weird because when you think of modeling, you think of like 10-foot tall string beans walking down a runway, or on cover models.
Right. Well, it's we've become maybe a little better with that in the last 20 years, maybe, right?
We have. I mean, high fashion is fashion, but then the rest
But
of
at
us
least
are
you have, I
lifestyle.
mean, you're right. And you have different size models now composed. When
Well-
we were growing up, it was like string beans, that was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, right. So lifestyle
Yeah.
for people that just look like normal people. And they're the ones on the commercials and in the ads and stuff and
I know you're well traveled and everything else. Tell me about what you did in Atlanta. What were you doing there? Like, what was
Well, I
besides the
moved to-
peach? You started the peach, and I started interrupting you.
I moved to Atlanta to join a band back in the 80s. And
Was it a big hair band?
I had big hair, I think.
Well, everyone had big hair in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I think I have my little thing running in the background. Sorry, folks.
What's the thing running in the background?
It's just a little thing that says "Follow me." It drops down every 5 minutes.
Oh, that's fun. Did it drop down on my face?
Actually, it's dropping down every second. I didn't realize it was down every second. No, it's
Oh,
not.
that'd be
It's
annoying as fuck.
exactly. It's not
Oh.
hiding your face. I stopped it.
Anybody's watching.
No, nobody watches live. They watch the next day, so you're fine.
All right. So what was
We're
I
talking
saying?
about Georgia.
Oh,
I
yeah,
want to know.
Georgia. So I actually joined a band. I joined a band called Larry Whitaker and Spellbound. But this was back in the 80s. A lot of bands that were like the band that I sing with now, my band, Central City Orchestra, those bands were working 6 nights a week.
Central City Orchestra. You can do some plugs
Central
at the
City
end.
Orchestra, right, based right here in
Very cool.
So that was even a different time. That was a time when cover bands were working.
Is it?
Jazz
It's
bands
hard
were
to.
working.
It's hard to
6
like get in,
nights a week.
right.
Live venues.
Live music's hard to get.
everywhere.
Like you can't find live music every night of the week anymore. Like there was a time where
It's
you
too
could.
expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was making $300 a week. Boy, I thought I was rich. Thought I was rich back in the 80s.
Well, that probably was like you could probably buy a car or a house with that, right?
I did. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
believe that I was making $300 a week. singing.
Did you find any challenges? And I know I said I was going to talk about this, but look, I'm biracial, and that has played into my experience.
Yeah, it's
Has that
interesting
played
to
into
know.
your experience? I bring that out and I throw that. I know I said I was going to talk about it, but have you had anything worthwhile sharing?
Yeah, you're actually reminding me. Part of the reason I left Minnesota was I had been singing with a couple different bands. It was kind of crazy. My first band was Jimmy Hill and the Flashbacks, and it was like crazy. We were an all black band.
In Minnesota, there's black people, other black people. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm
And they're
so
not all like brown people, they're like black people there too.
nice. Very cool.
Um,
All right.
who
Anyway.
else would the police be killing?
Oh,
All right.
You can talk politics. I'm just not allowed to.
No,
Okay.
I'm not going to do that.
All right.
It was just, he was on the TV tonight. Actually, there was some report from Minneapolis tonight. So anyway, okay.
That's fine.
So it was an all black band except for the drummer was a white woman.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool.
Okay, no, wait. get
I mean,
this,
aren't
okay.
aren't like women drummers kind of like dope? Women guitar players.
Listen. This was an all black band with one white
The
woman
girl with rhythm,
who
the person
happened to be playing the drums.
with rhythm was the white
That
girl.
was just terrifying, right? To
Aw.
be in this situation. I remember we had a show out in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We drove this giant blue school bus out and it had no heat and the windows wouldn't close. It was the middle of night or the middle of winter. We were going out for we left on Christmas Day from St. Paul to drive out to Crested Butte, Colorado. And this bus was like loud and the heater didn't work. It was horrible. And at some point in the middle of Montana, we broke down. But I say all that to say that we had a couple of gigs when we were out there and we were in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And at the time I was like doing AA meetings and I decided I needed to go to a meeting. And somebody picked me up to take me to this meeting. I was like, or the girl was like, yeah, we don't really get any coloreds out here.
He said coloreds.
And I was like,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, yeah, no.
what are you supposed to say to that?
I don't even know.
Like how do you
So
say? Yeah, I'm
well,
sorry. Yep, here I am. Here I am.
Here I am. Thanks for
So,
taking me to this meeting.
I know.
But
we're gonna talk about AA then, but go ahead.
No. I don't want to talk about it.
No.
Lord. This was back in the 80s. Okay, so what I wanted to say was
Now we
after
have to
Jimmy
talk about
Hill-
AA.
after Jimmy, after Jimmy Hill and the Flashbacks, I was in this band called Commotion.
Right.
Okay, so Commotion had a Native American drummer. The lead singer guitar player was a black guy named Clayton Savage. And then the bass player was David
That's a
Gonzalez.
dope ass. I mean, that's a fucking rock star name.
Right. So he was a black dude. Gonzalez was a Mexican. Rosa Gallona was a Mexican.
Do you speak Spanish? You don't, do
No.
you? Okay.
And then there was me. And I was like this villain. We had the best time. It was great. I pretended like I played.
It sounds like everything's diverse, though. Very diverse.
Well, in bands, people
Typically
probably was. But here's the thing. They couldn't hire me as their full-time singer
Why?
because they didn't have any white people. And they needed to put a white girl in the
Oh, that's why they. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was weird because it was like so cool and I had so much fun with them.
But-
But then
What they? Why couldn't they though? Because
we were all brown. It's like you kind of
you'll have to watch my other show to hear me talk about that
had to
more.
have a white person in the band. So anyway, I think that was part of the catalyst for me moving to Georgia. One of the guys in Jimmy Hill said, "I know a band in Georgia that's looking for a singer." I went down there to audition, and the singer, her name was Trina, caught wind that they were auditioning other singers. So she, I don't know, what's the word? She left.
She slipped away. She ghosted. Whatever.
I wasn't ghosting at the time. She like took off. So I suddenly had this job. I'd gone down for an audition. I wound up being on there 3 weeks, being on the road with these guys. But it was scary because we in that band, in Larry Whitaker and Spellbound, the lead singer was black, and then there was a white girl, and there was me, and then there was a white guy who played the guitar. But even still, we were driving all around the Southeast, and we would rarely stop. If we stopped,
Was it kind of spooky? Like
oh
them?
yeah,
I mean, it's like kind of
we
different
stopped,
time.
we would all stay in the van unless somebody had to pee. Then they would run out,
Did you?
go pee, and run back in the van, and we would just go.
Were you able to? Let's just, for the lack of a better term, all the people that are social. I'm gonna say I'm using the wrong term, but did you have to code shift and things like that? Like meaning like because you're.
Oh,
You're-
I know, Coach, if-
But I mean, you're a lighter skinned person. Like I would imagine people would have probably treated you differently depending on how you how'd your hair or something like that.
well,
'Cause I've no.
No, I really, you got to remember, I came from Minnesota, which really was all toe-headed people. Now,
What's toe-headed?
blonde,
Oh.
Scandinavians,
Oh wow. These are names I've never. Are these slurs by chance?
Scandinavians,
Are
Scandinavians.
are these new slurs I need to add to my repertoire?
Swedes and German.
Is this a common name I've never heard?
What?
What do they call it? Toads?
Towhead.
Towhead. What,
Yeah, look it up. Towhead.
is it negative?
No.
Okay.
T-O-E.
I was hoping it was negative because
Not
I
like
was.
a towel head.
I know.
that's a-
I know what
That's
it.
derogatory.
I know.
But towhead, I don't think.
Okay, so they're towheads out in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And what about it? Then what happened with the towheads?
Well, so that was my experience. Was mostly white people.
Got it.
I don't really have like a context. I guess, I figured out pretty young that I wasn't white.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a brother,
Older or younger?
younger.
Did not know that.
Why would you?
Does he live around here or no?
Well, I'm from Minnesota.
I know, but I didn't know if they moved to follow your career or whatever.
Like a band of what? Gypsies?
Yeah. That's what it sounded like. You're like driving to Cheyenne and sounded like all these places.
No. I left Minnesota
Okay.
back in '89. And the rest of them stayed there.
Okay, cool.
Most part.
What's your brother's name?
Eric.
Eric Banks, huh?
Yes.
All right.
Eric Banks. Hi, Eric Banks.
So I'm gonna go through my questions here.
I'll get
No,
off.
no, you're fine. This is
on a
good. We
tangent.
talked. Look, we talked about how your biracial.
what I-
Your biracial identity.
You know what we didn't finish talking about? Though?
AA.
No.
Alcohol. Your
What's
journey
the-
with alcohol.
What's the career, the things you have to do in addition to
Yes.
singing.
Yes.
So, like in Atlanta, for example, I did a lot of acting there too,
Right.
and then I did like a TV show, some other things. So Maybe we did finish talking about that.
We
and I'm just really
didn't. No,
tired.
no, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Alright.
No, I just wanted to make sure that. So you mentioned AA. My wife is in AA. She's, or
You know
sorry,
it's AA for a reason. Why
so
did you just like out her like
she's
that?
in NA. It doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about all that stuff. That's what I'm gonna tell you.
It's NA.
I'm
You're
gonna,
not supposed.
I'm
It's
gonna.
anonymous.
I know. I'm walking into what I'm gonna tell you
I
is
hope
I
that
don't
she
give a
doesn't mind that you talk.
I don't
about
give
it.
a shit about it. I don't give a but she's good with it and she's okay with me saying this. But I think it's interesting that you also are back on your journey of no alcohol, but you're not on AA. So I'd love to hear about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Take that one.
All right. Well, let me. Okay. So maybe for about 33.
So you hate AA though. All I know is you hate, based on the last thing, you hate AA, but you
I
are.
don't know that I feel that strongly about
But
it.
no,
I mean,
it's
it works for
okay.
people.
What
I don't hate it.
what I'm
No,
looking
I
for,
don't hate it.
what I
Not for
think
me.
is, that's what I mean. I want to know like what works for you now. Like what made you change your
Listen,
mind
what worked for me was like 33
and why?
33 years of like trying to drink like a normal person and 33 years of the same New Year's resolution, which was I'm gonna cut down on my drinking. I'm gonna work
The
out this
hangovers.
year. I'm gonna journal and I'm gonna do all these things, right? And then each year, that's what I'm saying, right?
I'm gonna have to get some smelling salts soon. I'm just kidding.
Each year saying the same thing. Like
Yeah.
I look back at all my journals and they were always the same.
And no
I'm just
progress.
not gonna drink. I'm not gonna drink
But why did you want to stop drinking?
because it was a horrible lifestyle. And
I mean, I love getting drunk though. I'm playing devil's advocate.
yeah,
But
it's okay. Everybody loves getting drunk. Everybody talks about why alcohol is good for them and what it does for them. The fact of the matter is that we live in a drinking culture where drinking is idolized, really, in a lot of ways. It's associated with being an adult, only adults
Yep.
do. It's associated with being sophisticated, and then there's different ways to be sophisticated. I mean, you can drink your natty light, right?
Scotch. I'm a Scotch drinker.
Scotch, and you have a certain palate, or wine, and
So you
all
think
of
it's snooty too?
it's just a function of big alcohol to keep us all drinking.
Ooh, big alcohol. We're gonna have to have that one for the show. We're not going there today, but I like that. Big
Don't
alcohol.
go there today, but I got all of this from a woman who really put me on the path that I'm on today. She's an influencer, uh, changed the lives of thousands.
What's her name?
Of people. Her name is Holly Whitaker, and she wrote a book. Hi, Hal, I love you. And she wrote a book called "Quit Like a Woman," and she spent a long time on her journey. And when she found something that worked, but what she wound up illuminating for all of us was, the role that big alcohol has in even defining what alcohol is and what a stigma. Let me just put it this way. She describes the fact that alcoholics, for example, was a thing that was created as a disease. But here's the thing. It was created so we could point a finger at the people who were problem drinkers. And what meant you were a problem? You hit rock bottom, you lost your job, you ruined some relationships, you crashed a car, you ended up in jail. Those were all the things that needed to happen in order to get off the hook, in order to
make people change. Yeah.
No. To justify that you couldn't drink anymore. Oh, I'm not. But then it created a thing, right? I'm not as bad as her. I'm not as bad as him. So I get to keep drinking. So it didn't matter that we felt like shit every fucking day. It didn't matter.
Felt like shit.
That we couldn't, that we had goals around our physical health and well-being that we couldn't maintain because we couldn't keep us.
That's the big one for me, was the body. Like my hangovers were just so bad that I just had to like take a break.
Well,
I mean, I was like 4 or 5 days of anxiety.
Yeah. And it's a horrible thing.
And I still like out, by the way, I haven't gone completely sober, but I'm with Amy on the fact that, and why I love the fact that you have encouraged me to stop drinking before. But I also think that it's interesting because you had a journey with alcohol before you stopped, came back, and I went through the same thing, and like I stopped, started again, thinking I could do it. The anxiety is what made me fucking. I wanted to hear like why you stopped. For me, it was like I would keep drinking still to this day if it weren't for the fact that Monday was useless, Tuesday was useless, not because I had a headache, but because I was like fucking like like anxiety for, and I then I would have to drink to stop the anxiety. So it was a cycle,
And the fact of the
and
matter
then
is
the
that,
alcohol was giving me the anxiety.
well, our whole society is going to tell you
Yeah.
you need alcohol to relax, you need alcohol to have fun, you need alcohol to talk to the opposite sex or whatever sex you want to talk to. You need alcohol for this and that. You need, you need alcohol. You're not social if you don't drink alcohol. And
It's a lot of pressure to even socially to
but
do
you know
anything.
what?
Yeah.
It's all lies too.
Yeah.
It increases our anxiety, it increases our depression. I thought, because when I drank,
She's going to be preaching on Sunday, folks. Keep
no.
keep
I
going.
thought when I drank, I was happy because I would be happy and gregarious and whatever. So I thought, well, alcohol is a depressant, but it isn't a depressant for me. But what I didn't realize was that I carried a low level depression all the time, questioning what the fuck is up with this life.
I feel like that's I feel like that's a common thread. And when I look at why I started drinking or even smoking and doing drugs or whatever, it's always, I talk about ADHD, being neurodivergent, but I always had a little bit of anxiety and depression. And then you think, hey, this will get you out of it. And then for that fleeting moment, you're fine. You get into a loop, is what I felt like. And then like you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I've been drinking for a long time. And then, or you unfortunately have some consequences that happen and you have to stop drinking. But for me, it was literally, I can't, I'm not getting, like, I'm a hard worker, but I lost 2 days a week for most of my life. So I imagine all that time,
Exactly.
I didn't mean to.
No, exactly. And I always had aspirations that I felt like my drinking habit, because that was the thing. I was planning what happy hours I was going to go to.
And you rotate your schedule around happy hours, right?
And friends.
Yeah.
I would rotate my friends group, depending on what time of the day or time of the week I wanted to drink. Then you're drinking, I'm spending money and time and eating food when I'm drunk, because the only thing that alcohol really does is lowers your brain's ability to make good decisions.
Holla. Look, I love alcohol and I say this on my show. I love it. I drink it. I mean, but I had to stop drinking the way I was drinking because it was killing me. Like it was killing my whole vibe. Literally. I mean, I remember just being uptight. I mean, I'm uptight, by the way. I'm uptight. She thought I was crazy. You thought I was bipolar. Yeah, it is. That's the thing you don't realize. Like you think, you get that little energy, but then the next 2 days you're basically dealing from depression.
And you're dealing with what you should have done instead of planning drinking and recovering from drinking. What you wish you could have done, where you would have been if you hadn't spent so much time.
How long has it been since you've had alcohol?
4.5.
I don't have my sound effect board. Hold on. Oh, I don't have my sound effect board. I hope I didn't hit mute. I hope you guys can hear me. No, I wanted to do a clapping sound because that's awesome.
Here we can.
We'll do this. Good job. Surprise. All right. So before we go to the next question, I want to make sure, like I've said this before, I am not going to, so in case somebody sees me, I haven't gotten drunk since October. And I would say that this person right here I know that, it's changed your life. I know for my wife, it's changed her life. And I know for myself in the last 6 months, it's been good. So for all those folks that know me as a drinker, sorry I'm to disappoint you, but I've definitely found the light in, let's just say, I don't like to say sobriety because I'm not black and white, and I might have a drink, but I think just my PSA for everyone. All right, let's get back to Amy. I'm fucking boring. You can watch me all week. Amy's exciting. So no, you're not. This is great. Now I know it's late and I wanted to ask you, so tell me a little bit about your Center City Orchestra and what you do locally? Because I don't know shit. I know I follow you, but like I don't know what the fuck you do. So what does it mean?
Well,
If you would prefer something else, I've
no, it's
got
okay.
quitting alcohol, shared your journey of quitting
Yeah,
drinking.
stop. Don't ruin it. Yeah, Central City Orchestra is my band. My partner Katie Robinette and I
Why didn't she come
formed
on? I would have had her
formed
on.
an entertainment company called Robin Banks Entertainment.
Robin Banks Entertainment.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
As like a launching pad for Central City Orchestra. So we've been doing that since 2016. And our main objective was we just wanted to be a successful party wedding band, and make money doing it. And we really wound up hitting our objectives the first year that we were doing it. So we've got about, between two of us, there are three other original members. So we've had about 5 different people in different roles.
Hustling and doing it.
But yeah, we do about 30, 40 gigs a year. There's a lot of bands that work more than us. We weren't trying to work that much, but
it's great though. I think it's fantastic.
Gigs that we can.
And I'm a joker. I'm not patronizing. I think it's fucking awesome. And I like I said, when I, like my friend Mitch, who's probably, maybe you're not watching, but I think it's so cool. I went the traditional thinking I had to get a fucking degree and everything else. I love people that do things that are creative and think that, like, even if it's a side gig, you're doing something where it's like entertainment and it's providing some value for somebody else. I think it's fantastic. No shit. So I wasn't, in the beginning, it felt like I was coming at this from, I think of this person as a rock star, by the way. But I do want to say that the purpose, this is, you can enjoy your craft, grind it out and do it, and doesn't mean you're going to be a rock star, but you can enjoy it and provide so much fun. I mean, you're working at weddings.
Well, and I will say, first off, it's a built-in audience. You don't have to ask them to come to their gigs.
Yeah.
And they're trying to celebrate, so they're ready to have fun.
Yeah.
And then you get to be like part of the fabric of some people's happiest days of their lives. It's really a special opportunity, a special thing to be able to do for people. But I will say that, Katie and I both, I believe, are truly entrepreneurs. And sometimes, being a musician and being an entrepreneur don't
It's
go
tough.
together.
Yeah.
It's not almost not the same skill set.
I find that a lot with, even in my field, domain engineers, like negotiating compensation, not their field, artists selling their art, not their field. So I understand that. So how did you have to learn the hard way, I guess? But
well, I mean, we certainly learn everything generally the hard way, but I'm just more of an entrepreneur. I'm already trying to figure out. I just look at a situation or an opportunity. I think, well, how do you generate revenue from that? And then then the wheels start turning. I start thinking, oh wow,
she's a little capitalist.
That's so much potential that could be. And then all the scenarios about, like, wow, how who do we enroll to do this with us, and what do they get out of it? And what are we bringing? What problems are we solving?
You work with Millersville a lot, though, right? Don't you do work over there or something?
I used to work for Millersville.
Okay, but I know we were talking earlier about students, and I don't know what you were talking about there. I'm sorry.
The same year that Katie and I started our business, I started working at Millersville University. I was their arts communication manager. I worked at the the Ware Center in downtown Lancaster with their team.
I had that in my bio research. I wasn't sure if you still worked there or not.
Visual and Performing Arts Center at Ware Center.
Right.
And I left there last June to go work for Penn State Harrisburg.
Oh, cool.
So I'm their performing arts operations manager.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
I shifted out of marketing kind of and into presenting.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. Yeah.
It's all the same thing. I get to get artists paid.
So I think my wife and I went to an event at the Ware Center that I think you had or were a part of. They were doing these Black community, they had speakers in there, and I thought I saw you there the one night.
Well, I mean, I would have been there because I typically events?
Maybe you were just attending, but I was like, I was like, there's Amy, and you didn't see me. Of course, you were probably too cool for me,
Yeah.
but no, but I do. So that's why I thought you were still at the Wear. So I'm sorry I
Oh
missed
yeah,
the.
it was a while ago though. Whenever
I did
you
research, but
Yeah.
maybe my research is dead.
That's good. Yeah. No, I haven't even been there a year. Not a good time to be in higher ed, by the way. So
Yeah.
do that.
So one last thing, or not last thing. So you quit alcohol, mental health. How do you handle? So one of the things that I thought was interesting is I know alcohol was a crutch for me. I don't want to spend all night on alcohol, but I thought it would be interesting to say I personally talk about being in therapy and doing things, meditation, things for my mental health. Anything you want to share? What your secret is? Because just quitting alcohol is probably other things.
Pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've always kind of struggled with some low level depression most of my adult life. More recently, I started to identify where anxiety was running the show.
Fucking anxiety.
I tell you what, I didn't know,
Motherfucker.
though. I didn't know.
She's,
I didn't know.
I think it's a he.
I
He's
thought I
a
was normal.
bastard. He's a bastard.
I thought I was normal. I was nervous so often, feeling insecure, and I'm relatively insecure, but I just didn't realize how much it was impacting my ability to be authentic
And to
because I
make
was
decisions
so
and yeah.
worried about whether I did things right or whether people were going to like me. It's not to say that I'm not worried about those things still, but it was like it was anxiety. I didn't know. So you start treating those things and suddenly like I feel like I'm a different person because I feel like I show up like, here I am, rather than somebody trying
fear,
to,
almost like a fear
Yeah.
thing. I love that. Just how you when you were talking about it, I just kind of came over me like it's almost like a glaze of like you can be operating and be happy, but there's a glaze of and depression is something that you can kind of operate, smile, but anxiety is more sinister. I feel like where it's just like every decision that you're making are things, and it for me it was fear, and I'm like I'm not a fearful person. I'm kind of like I kind of like to think I'm bravado, but like I became kind of fearful and of everything. So for me, I just when you're talking, it literally I could feel that anxiety monster coming over, and I feel like that's for me. That's why alcohol had to go by. That was why. If it weren't for fucking anxiety, depression, okay, I can muster through the smiles. The anxiety though for me was like when you start to say making decisions was hard. Like you're just frozen. I feel like when you're captured with anxiety and depression, people wonder why like it's hard to do things because you can't make decisions when you're really in a bad situation. So alcohol, I didn't realize alcohol covered that for me for a long time. So when I stopped doing alcohol, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta feel things. The fuck is this thing?
well, and then it's sort of like, oh, this isn't normal. I
Yeah.
mean, or it doesn't.
Boredom too.
So, like, I don't like to feel this way. The first time I realized, well, so I started doing different medications to kind of try to figure out what would.
It's all good. I'm open book about mental health, and especially with it should be normalized,
Oh,
like
yeah, absolutely. But the first time I really noticed something that was like different for me was I introduced a show. So I have to do a curtain speech at.
See, I got famous people here.
Just to introduce the show,
Right.
right? Well, I used to do that for the jazz series that I did for 7 years at Millersville Club 42. I would bring acts on and I always made notes because I was afraid I was going to forget something and I would be nervous and I would go out there and I would usually nail it, right? But then I come back and be like, did I forget I was always so nervous to walk out on a freaking stage, say, hi, I'm Amy Banks. Welcome to the Wear Center. Tonight, we're going to ask you to turn off your phone. And we're going to thank Rogers and Associates and blah, 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 blah. So nervous. And when I went out and did my curtain speech at Penn State for San Jose Tyco, I just was like, okay, here, give me the mic. Let's go. I went out there and I'm like, hi, how y'all doing? And blah, 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 blah. And I walked up the stage and I was like, I didn't second guess myself. I didn't think twice about it. I just went and did what I do. And I wasn't all encumbered by fear and anxiety and weirdness.
Yes, I love that. So did you see there's a good show on Netflix. I think it's Netflix with I'm not a fan of Jonah Hill that much, but he does have a good show where he does this self-exploratory thing with his psychologist, and he talks about something that I'll never forget in there, which is psychologist who's brilliant talks about this part X in everyone. And he talks about it as being this person that knows you and knows you everything about you, but is going to always be the voice that's going to tell you no. And it's like this part. So it's like he puts it in this metaphor of like you're always fighting against this part X, and the part X knows everything about you and knows exactly your objections. And so part of life is figuring out over that. And I think anxiety is one of those things can be like a monster part X, where it's just like you can't do this, or you need to be, so you operate in fear and you don't even realize you could still be successful. By the way, you could still be doing things, but you're still operating in fear and micro decisions. I like to think of for my mental health, and this is not about me tonight, it's about Amy. Okay, I'll cut this in fucking YouTube. But for me, I like to think of my mental health as micro transactions. And so like I've got to manage those transactions. And for a long time I did bad transactions. And if you do a lot of bad transactions, then you kind of get used to doing bad transactions. And so you kind of have to get into mode, and depression and anxiety are those things where with alcohol, you get into a pattern where your brain is in that pattern and it's hard to get out. And so for me, even when you can't get out because you're also, you're going to have a couple. I didn't get withdrawal from alcohol at all. It was just the fucking like, all right, I'm bored.
Well,
and
it becomes a habit. It's a lifestyle.
Oh, I got it.
It's a lifestyle
Yeah.
that's embedded in our culture. And you're embedded with people who do what you do. They're your friends, or people you think are your friends.
They're my
So you
friends. I
start
like them.
doing
Just
different-
all you drinking friends. I still like you. Amy's trying to get. I have like 3 friends. So you 3, listen. You guys don't leave me. Okay.
Well, I think it's funny because sometimes I think that I drank to tolerate people.
Yeah, I actually think that sometimes.
I'm not really sure. It's like a chicken or egg kind of thing in a way. Like, did I like was the people that made me want to drink,
Or did I
alcohol that
drink to
made-
deal with the people? I'm the same. Like I went to a new networking thing. I try to, now people at the Candy Factory are gonna think I'm weird. I do go to the networking things, but I would go there when I started here. I would go get pretty wasted. I admit it. But I go, and I've recently been going to networking events and I'm not drinking, and I'm fucking awkward. I think people think we use the word. I think people think I'm retarded because I just don't know what to say to people. I don't know what to talk. So alcohol I found was a crutch because I'm fucking Mr. Talkative and fun guy. But when I'm in a place where I'm forced to talk, it's like, I don't get anxiety. There's just like, I don't know what to say. So for a long time, I'm realizing I'm getting over it, by the way. This is about Amy. This is not about my journey. But I think I think you can probably relate with the change in patterns that you have to go through when you change. It doesn't, like, it could be different, but you have to get used to it.
Here's another thing, and this might be a generational thing, though I don't think we're that much different in age. But
you're 5 years younger than me.
We kind of glorify. Yeah, I guess that is on Facebook. We kind of glorify extroverts. Like when you're growing up, you're encouraged to be friendly and make friends and be around people, and if you're not, then you're weird and you're shy and there's something wrong with you if you just want to sit in your books. So our society, at least when I was growing up, society is kind of geared toward this kind of valuing extrovert
archetypes, yeah,
more.
Yeah.
But for example,
I enjoy being alone, by the way. The older I get.
Right? I love being alone. And here's the thing, like, used to love to have all the people I really liked in a room together. Now I can't.
Oh my God, that
stand
sounds horrible. That sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Well, first of all, I just don't get any quality time with anybody.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people there. But then, like, I found myself getting annoyed. I had one friend who used to like to say, "Oh yeah, why don't you come over? Come over." And I'd be like, "Okay, I'll come over and we're gonna talk and blah blah blah." And I come over and there'd be like 5 other people in the room. It's like, really? Like, first off, you didn't tell me all these other people here, and second off, I don't know them, or some of them I don't even like.
I get to the point too where I realize that when I started to analyze the conversation I was having with certain people, it's just talking about other people. So it's like, what am I fucking doing?
So much gossip, or that was just it. Small talk or shallow. Because there are people I've known for years that I woke up one day and was like, if it weren't your great taste in wine, I wouldn't even know you this long because you're so shallow.
Yeah.
There's guys, I'm thinking of a guy that I had kind of gone out with. He takes me out for dinner like 3 years later, and he's talking about the same things, the same
No growth.
ridiculous things.
He probably
was
listens to
about.
Andrew Tate.
He might.
She doesn't.
Asshole.
I know. I'm so glad you don't know about him, but this guy, I'm gonna have to do this on my other podcast. But yeah, the Andrew Tate creations of men out there is just an awful thing. We'll have to talk about it another time. But
men are little
we're
boys
fucking
running
awful.
over their
Listen, I
moms.
have a whole thing where I talk about men being cowards. I agree. So let's not bash men all around right now. But
Hey, listen,
I
you're
do a
the
whole show on it.
basher, I'm not bashing. What I wanted to say was there are some people that I just realized I didn't enjoy being around.
Yeah.
Because there seemed to be no substance.
And the alcohol kind of shielded it.
Oh, the alcohol made it all like nobody. I didn't care as long as I was drinking. I didn't care. But I will say that there are a couple of people that I really, really enjoyed who are have admitted that they're not interested in being friends with me anymore. They don't drink. And it wasn't quite. I think it wasn't quite put that way, and it's always about that person. It's never really about me. But there were a couple people that I liked that just let me go, and then there were a couple people that
I feel like I'm getting let go by some people. I do. If you're out there, it's okay. I'm okay. I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
But yeah, no, because you got to think about it. It wasn't what you thought it was.
No, all right. I admit I spend too much time at the candy factory. Sorry, guys. I know the thing's fucking going again, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. Because this is a ghetto show. No, I know it's smashed. It's like going right in the middle of the screen. It's awesome. It's actually awesome though, because it just says follow me at things. Like it's this thing. It's like a graph. It's not going on anymore. This is what we're looking at now. It was. I know.
I'm sorry.
Listen. Everyone that watched this, she thought she was coming into like Oprah. She gave me this whole letter and like she had this whole agenda. I was like, slow your roll. No, I loved it. And you know what? Quite frankly, you spent a lot of time here tonight watching me prepare. And this is the first time, folks, I've done this with multiple cameras. She's a perfectionist. She was very nice, has not criticized me too much. Was kind enough to come on here. She did call me weird and also asked me if I was bipolar 3 times. I counted. That's the truth. And if you watch my show that she probably has a reason to ask, but fuck that, right? Fuck that shit. All right. But anyway, no, tell me, is there any gigs and it's getting late and I know you're turned into a pumpkin at 10. Yeah, bipolar. It's not, but it's fine. You can go there. Tell me what gigs you have coming up or anything you want to talk about that's coming up.
Well,
we're going to blast you for a week, by the way. You're going to get blasted for a week.
Cool. So I'm making some shifts in life. So I started to kind of put things back on my website, which is amybanksonline.com.
Nice.
But Central City Orchestra, I've several gigs with them coming up. Free public events. They're all posted on my calendar on amybanksonline.com. You can also find it on centralcityorchestra.com or Robin-Banks Entertainment.
Look at that plug queen. Go.
Well, I mean, that's where you can find shit. So there it is. But I mean, we're up in Allentown tomorrow. We've got a wedding the next week. We've got a Greenfield concert series out at Greenfield.
I'm going to post. You're going to have to send me some links too, and I'll post some.
Columbia Lions Club at Columbia coming up, and Isley Winery.
Lots of places. You got to follow her on Facebook. You have an Instagram too. You're an RB. What?
Instagram for me is Amy Does It Today.
Okay, well that's a great name. And then you didn't want me to announce that, but I didn't care. All right. Okay. What's the but your company too that you work with, Katie?
Robin RB Entertainment.
Awesome.
what it is on
You
Instagram.
You think? She's not sure, folks, but it might be
Can't get on the
Harvey.
socials anymore, y'all.
Listen,
I
you
can't
go
do
follow
that. I'm
her.
too
You
old.
get her viral with her voice. She has a beautiful voice, beautiful band. I don't have much else to say, but this has been awesome. And you, by the way, if you don't know, she was actually I was not prepared, and so she had to sit here while I got all the cameras and stuff working. So I appreciate your patience. What I'll do is I'll do what I did with all the other videos. I'll give you a copy of it. You don't need to watch it and listen to my voice because I don't want to listen to my voice. But I will say you'll get a feed of it. If you don't follow her on Instagram or Facebook, please do. Center City Orchestra. Central C.
Central City, but
Central
I'm
City.
also just like Amy Banks.
She's Amy Banks.
And
Like
Amy does it.
she's Amy does it. Amy
Amy
Banks. It was awesome having you though.
Boring.
And I will just say you're my 4th guest, but all my other guests were awesome, but she did do an hour and nobody did it in person. So she's my first in-person guest. Thank you so much. It was a
been my
pleasure.
Thank you for having
The
me.
last thing I'll say is if you're watching the video and you're like, why the fuck are you not looking at her? I am looking at her. I'm looking at here. And then I look at her and you know how fucking annoyed I'm going to be if you send me messages about the fucking camera. So enjoy this video of Amy. And yes, make sure you follow her, thank her, and hopefully I didn't make you look too bad.
Oh, I'm sure you didn't. This was fun.
Thank you. I'm going to end it now. And